Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar with Terri Murphy. We are so excited about this. It's going to be a blast. So I'm going to let all of you file into the room. You were out in your virtual waiting room. So we'll give it a couple of minutes for you to get on the meeting. And Terri and I will just chat, I guess, until then. So how's it going, Terri?
We absolutely can chat. Yes, we can.
We're so lucky that you did this for us. Thank you.
No, we're lucky to have all these wonderful people at MAR and falling in love with them one member at a time, because we've been doing this with the leadership group, and they are just precious. And I don't know what I'm going to do next week, when it's all over. So this is a little bonus.
I know.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we have amazing members. So I'm excited.
You really do. You really do. Oh my God, Judy Kanjami's on from Long Island. I love her.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
Hi, Judy.
Judy's
so
fabulous.
Exciting.
She's so fabulous. I need to get back for some bagels. Not that I could,
There's a Yankee in our midst.
We are so excited to have you, Judy. I've been thinking about you. Amy's on.
Hey, Amy. How's it going? Yeah, say hi to us, guys. Yes, a friendly Yankee. Yeah. Judy, we're more than happy to welcome you to the South this morning.
That's the truth. I'm gonna put this away.
And welcome, guys. We're just kind of chatting and letting everyone file in this morning to join our webinar.
So Amy Foster, she's a Yankee from New York. We're in New York, Miss Amy.
Good morning, Sandy. Hi, Joanne.
Sandy Wade McConnell, I know her.
Hi, Stacy. Oh, North of Albany. Jill White.
North Albany? Okay. Excellent.
So we've got some leadership MAR peeps here. Hey, classmates.
Oh, we're all good. Jill White's here. We're good. We're good. Steve McDonald,
the director for the state of Tennessee. Awesome. Very
okay,
cool.
I'll Zoom with you, Judy. I will. Judy says they're going, Rochester, Penny Rash, nice to have you.
Hey, Greg.
Wow, we've got Greg. This is awesome. This is fun.
Keep saying hi to us, guys. We're just waiting for everyone to file in, so we'll give them a couple more minutes for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have to tell you, it's been interesting because everybody, is crabbing about doing, Zoom and but the fact is, it's fairly engaging, and you get to talk to people you typically would not. Joel's on. Hi. Good for Joel.
Hey, Joel. Hi, Sue Ann. Good morning, Shelley.
Good. Good. See, all our friends are on. This is going to be fun. Catherine Garland. Oh,
hey, KG. Brenda
Hampton. Yay.
And Laura. Hey, Laura. So we have a lot of our board members are on this morning, too, which is great.
Oh,
hey,
there's no pressure there. No pressure there, thanks.
No, you shouldn't feel any pressure.
Katie Spake, always on time.
Hi, Lynn. So hi, Katie. Yep. Good morning, Debbie.
I probably should.
Judith, good to see you.
Judith Bell, really?
Awesome.
I thought about this. I have to turn off notifications. How do you do that?
What are you trying to figure out?
Well, I just, when you do these, you try really hard not to have disturbances. And so, how do you turn off all the notifications?
Good morning. Hey, Rodney's in the house.
No way. Rodney's on? Oh, we are so lucky.
He says, ready for my double dose of Terri. Good morning, Barb.
Yeah, my poor people, they've got to see me 2 days in a row. They're like, oh, man.
No, it's a treat. You're like the morning coffee.
It is kind of fun. Galaxy. I can't
good morning, Galaxy S9.
Yeah,
we love you.
That's somebody in witness protection who doesn't want us to know. Yeah. Yeah, Katie's very cool with her back. Yeah, very cool. I, on the other hand,
gotta give our shout out. Yeah.
Tina's on. Good. She's on with
Tina.
Joe, like you.
Very cool. Well, let's go ahead and get started. For those of you who show up on time, we want to honor your time today and give you as much Terri as we possibly can. So people will still continue to join us as we go, and that's awesome. So good morning. I'm Katie Schatz. I'm the CEO at MAR, and I am so thrilled that you guys are here this morning It just makes me feel closer to all of you. So thanks for all the shout outs and chat. Keep it coming. And I also want to thank our friends across the state. Because of Terri's generosity, she allowed us to extend the invitation to our friends from all over the state. And Terri, thank you for that. That is a huge gift, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you. So we're so thrilled to be able to share this with you guys from other parts of Tennessee. So be sure to give a shout out if you're from somewhere else than Memphis, along with our New Yorkers. Let us know in chat. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for being here. You're gonna love Terri. So I'm gonna share my screen for just a sec and go through a couple slides real quickly, but a couple housekeeping notes. You probably all use Zoom by now, but it helps a lot if you close any other windows in your browser, and even if you have email open and stuff, it'll make the speed of the Zoom go a little bit faster. And as you know, you guys are not in the webinar on screen today, you're listening, so we can't see or hear you, unfortunately, which makes me a little sad. That's why we need you to talk to us in chat. So please continue to use that chat feature. If you're not sure where it is, if you hover over the bottom of your screen, there's a little talk bubble that says chat, and you can just click on that. It'll open a window, and then you can chat with everybody, or you can even chat to someone specifically one-on-one. There's also a double talk bubble that says Q&A. So please use that today as well. If you have a question that you want to ask Terri, she's open to taking questions throughout the entire program today. So I'll be chiming in and helping her with those as we go. So if you have something, please put it in Q&A, and we'll be sure to get that asked live. So let me get to some slides. So as you guys probably know, this was part of our Connection, Confidence, Commitment webinar series that was an 8-week series we started back in April, I guess. And today is our grand finale, and who better to close it out than Terri? I can't think of anybody. So this is our final one. Forget the pivot, go for the bounce. How to turn this timeout into a knockout opportunity for you. So again, huge thanks to Terri, who also does our whole Leadership MAR program and several of our Leadership MAR peeps. I'm in the class of 2022, so shout out to our Leadership MAR class for this year, and thanks to Terri for shepherding us through that whole process this year. It's been a blast. Also want to say thank you to our premier sponsors, Pinnacle Financial Partners and Redeemers Group, and also our preferred sponsors, Independent Bank and Lofton Wells Insurance. We can't do what we do without our sponsors and our awesome affiliate business partners, and we thank them so much, especially during this time. They've stayed even more connected and engaged than ever. So we're super excited to have their partnership and their love during this time. So thank you guys for that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Terri and let her run the show.
Well, thank you so much, Katie. You do such a great job. And can everybody see the screen? Because I can only see what I can see. Is that good?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, great. So this is the best time. Everybody, we know that this is a change. And anybody over 25 out there, just raise your hand. Go ahead. Yeah. If you're over 25, change isn't so much fun. Oh yeah, we've got a bunch of participants like it's burning up. And that's a good thing. But change is rugged because we're kind of happy where we were. And so it's a new way to make things happen. And in every change, it changes our direction. And when it changes our direction, we discover something we didn't know was there. And so this is, yes, it has its tragedies and it has its impacts, but somewhere in there is a silver lining. And I'm telling you, this is a great time to make this happen. And it really, part of what's happened is some of our best minds got together. And I was telling Katie about this earlier. Mark Seiden, who's a good friend of mine, and his team put together a 42-page ebook, so detailed, it tells you where to put your foot next, to do a virtual open house and get leads and actually convert them. So forget the fact that you didn't know how to really do this well. Now we've got a complimentary, no sale, 42-page ebook, which we're going to give away when you download workmansuccess.com/MAR. It's absolutely just for you. And Mark, I'm going to show you Mark in a few minutes, but he is awesome. He's been in the business 38 years, and we're in a group that just shares. Katie. So I think that that's going to be a good thing for everybody. And here's Mark, and he's that guy with the big grin and the beard on my right, and his team is amazing. And so imagine, and he's from New York, by the way, Judy. Imagine that you've never met Mark, you don't know his team, but you're getting real life today things, that kind of thing that can help you. Thank you, Judy. So here's the thing. We have to change our mindset. Forget the fact that, oh, things aren't like they were going to be, or they were. We've been doing this forever this year. Forget about it. It's a new mindset. And the mindset is, how do we adapt? How do we take this? And how do we change it so that it really helps us in a way we didn't discover before? And I'll bet there's a number of you that weren't real crazy about being virtual. How many people just, could not wait to be virtual? Let me see you raise a hand. Go ahead. Okay, we only got like 4. Oh, maybe. Okay, here we got 7. Very good. Well, here's my thing. Virtual's here to stay. We're not going to be able to put this Jell-O back in the closet. This is out. It's out there. Please put, I'm a millennial, so it's cool. Oh, sure, Jasmine. There you are with your tight skin and your judgment. Go ahead. The rest of us, yes, there's some companies that are really virtual, but in general, we have been doing like we've been doing. And here's the thing. There's a new way to do things that are easier, economical, global. We're going to go through that. So we have a belief system. You wake up every day with a belief system that you pretty much developed from the time you were 7 years old. And a belief is nothing more than a thought you've had over and over again. And then you find ways to validate it. Yep. You get a bias, not bad bias, but you get a bias on how things are. Like when I can tell you when you move to the South and you see how things are done, you're like, it's a little different. We don't do it like that over here, but it doesn't make any difference. It's just what you believe. And what if that was a little bit narrow instead of a little bit broad? What if it was one way to look at something and not another way? So really, I'm going to ask you a favor. I'm going to ask you to get out of judgment just for the next 49, 50 minutes and get into curiosity. What if some of this could actually work? What if you would give yourself permission to do something differently? And it was not only fun, but it was putting money in your pocket so that you could live the life by design and not by default. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to jump out of bed and go, yippee, we get to sell real estate. You want to help people. You could help people a lot of different ways. You could make cookies. You could, I'm not channeling Howard, but thank you. Howard Brinton was one of the Star Power founders. And the fact is that principles go from home to work to wherever, because what's true at home is true at work. And your beliefs could be a little bit skewed. So I'm going to ask you to open up. And what if you would allow yourself, this is key, and I want you to write this down somewhere. What if you would allow yourself to be successful in a new way? What if you change the script in your mind that, well, this will never work, or that just works in New York, it doesn't work in Memphis, it doesn't work in Chattanooga? What if it did and you just got the wrong map because you couldn't find it? But it's going to happen up here. And that starts with a change in attitude. Now, if you've heard me speak before, I tell you, my sister Kathy wakes up every day with the glass half empty. She just got a brand new car from my brother. My brother, Frank, bought her a brand new car. You know what she said? Well, it's not a luxury car. Okay, her other car was 110 years old and everything was falling off, but she didn't see the glass half full. And in a time like this where we're part of us is scared. Part of us is a little nervous about, how are things going to change and what's the impact going to be? But you know what? It depends on how you process it with that belief system. Well, this has happened before. Yeah, the flu's been around. But when you change your attitude, you get to see things differently. And when you start looking for the pony that could be in the pile, you find the pony, not the pile. So here's where I want you to go with this. I want you just for a little bit to change your attitude and go into what if and succeed anyway. So I just want you to know that sometimes we get so bogged down. Yeah, Jude says, I'll take the car. No kidding. Sometimes we get so bogged down in our own ether that we don't look around and see outside of the media. Media is selling fear. Here's your word for 2020. You be the safe place. You be the safe place. You be the trusted resource. You be the fact finder that transforms that data into what people need to hear to make their own best decisions. And so look at this graph, which I got, by the way. This is from our work with Clea Gaddis, who's a master coach. And he said, look at the percentage of home ownership in 2020. It's always been about 43%. It goes up and down, but it's been steady at 43%. So what does that mean? That means there's a lot of people with equity in their home. There's a lot of people out there that now have been sequestered for 2 or 3 months that may feel differently about keeping that big house or getting a smaller house or moving to a different place or bringing in family. People's lives change every day. Our job is to help them find what they want to live their best life. So, but you've got to know the numbers. And so if you've been believing the media and the sky is falling, look at the facts and share them as a trusted resource and an expert. Write the word expert down because it makes sense. This is the percentage of homes in America that have 60% equity. That's, 60% equity. We could leverage that. We could buy rental properties. 42% of people own their homes free and clear. 177,000 people. $177,000 is the average equity people have. Now, if you know that rentals are going off the charts, it might be a good time to leverage some of that equity. It might be a better time to, if you're cutting back and you're going into retirement, get a more manageable home. If the home has functional disorders like roofs and water heaters and that kind of thing, and people don't want to deal with it, I'm just going to say to you that this is a great time to inspect with your clients and customers and prospects on what their options are. I want to make something very clear. Nobody cares to hear how terrible unemployment is, but isn't it good to know what employment is? And this is what's happened over a period of time in the millions, starting in March to now. So don't buy the negative sentiment out there. Find out the truth and be the truth teller to the people who you're working with. So when a seller says, I want to wait, you might say, look at the statistics from our local MLS. There were X amount of properties compared to last year at this time when there was no pandemic. At the end of the day, there's food, shelter, and clothing. Now, everybody's stuck in their yoga pants right now, and that'll come around later. But right now, food and shelter are key. And guess what? We're perfectly positioned to be that person. And I'm not going to bore you with statistics, but find the facts. Core Logic, Realtor.com, your local MLS. Yes, that information is out there, but guess what? They don't know how to manipulate it like you do. So find what's going on so that you can be the resource that they're looking for. So here's something to think about. There's 4 steps that we're going to deal with today. Make the powerful choice to create accountability through focus. This is step 1. Now, how many people feel like it's hard to focus? Let's just see a couple of comments. We've got 3 that raised their hand. We don't have any comments yet. We've got a bunch raising their hand.
Terri, I think there are a couple people who are having a hard time hearing you.
Well, we're where we always are. So hold on a second.
I can hear you fine. It is a little bit crackly for some reason.
Isn't that interesting? Is that any better?
So maybe you can just shout.
They're saying they're having a hard time hearing, but it's the same process we always use. So is that any better? Sounds good now. Okay. Is that better?
Oh, yeah, that is better.
Okay.
No crackling.
Okay. So technology and Murphy's law.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So here's the thing. So we've got issues about focus. Now, why do you think it's even harder to focus at home? Anybody having that kind of an issue? Because we're at home, right? Thank you, Bill. I'm glad we can hear it. So it's actually a Netflix. Judith. All right. So here's the thing. We are at a time where technology has invaded our personal space by choice. Not a bad thing, right? And the reason is because we're wearing watches, we have phones, we have notifications that have come through. I mean, how many people are old enough to remember the original AOL instant messaging? Anybody? Where are my oldies but goodies? Yeah, there's a bunch of us. Yeah. Yeah, you remember, Casey? I mean, seriously, oh, quit laughing out loud, for God's sake. Yeah, it was cool at the time, right? But we didn't have the other distractions. We didn't have news 24/7. We didn't have, alerts on our phones for everything. So here's a thought. This is a mental condition called digiphrenia, digital schizophrenia, and it actually happens in our analog brain. And what happens is we get out of focus. When you really study the people who have succeeded in a huge way, it's because they had very little distraction. Now, if you're a mom with your kids and a dog and a husband or a rent-a-date or whatever, but they're still talking about the audio being crackly. I don't know what that is. I'm so sorry. We don't usually have that problem, so.
Yeah, I'm hearing it again too, and I'm not sure.
All right, well, let's just play for a second here.
Okay.
We want this to be pleasant.
Kathy Webb says snap, crackle, pop.
Well, yeah, we're having some issues here, and I don't know why, because we do this every day, right?
That sounds better though.
Okay, but there we go. Everything's still getting a little crackly here.
They say just keep rolling. They'll deal with it.
Keep rolling. That would be us. Right.
It does sound better now.
Yeah, but I'm getting this I wonder if it's from some of the stuff they're doing outside, but that's just so weird. Hang on one second, everybody. We're just going to double check a couple of cables here, make sure everybody's happy. Okay, that looks better. Not kinda. Okay, I've got to find you. Hang on a minute. Of course, it would happen with like the whole board of directors on, wouldn't it? I mean, really?
You're fine. I think everybody understands right now that we have to kind of roll with everything and just, it's not
But
perfect.
it's not like I gotta do this every freaking day, It's like, really? All right, I've got to find the PowerPoint.
Judy wants to talk about that Graceland is reopening today, and I will bite on that, Judy. That's true. It is reopening. And Gibson's Donuts reopened, I think, over the weekend.
The important things?
The important stuff. So we're coming back to business. We have donuts and Graceland again. So
but the important thing is the hairdressers. Those are the important things.
Oh yeah, that's back. I think we just got nail salons back starting Monday, but yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can get this back up. Hold on a second. And we are on focus and we're going to go there. And can we share again? Okay, how do I got to just find the share button again. Can you see that?
It should be at the bottom of your screen. If you have.
No, I know. I just wanted to know if you could see it.
Oh, sorry, I can't see it yet.
Okay. I've never had so much fun in my life in front of a whole. Although
I know, I always, when I'm presenting and something happens, I can feel the beads of sweat.
No, you know what? Listen, when you've gone through a concrete wall, this isn't the worst. I will tell you though that I just did a webinar where a bird showed up. His name was Pablo. Yeah, and he pretty much stole the show. There we go. Got it. Yeah, it's still a flickering.
They're saying just roll with it, keep going. They want the content.
They want the content.
Oh, there we go. And we can always send your PowerPoint out to everybody.
Yeah, the PowerPoint's going out.
If you're willing to share. Okay.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So thank you for being, is it still working for you?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Great. So we do have an issue with the digital schizophrenia. And that's a challenge. And how do we deal with that as we go forward? Well, you want to close your windows and close your doors. Now, what that means is we had talked about this yesterday with Myra and I think Patsy DeGraff. You got to be able to shut your door and have your family understand the boundary if you have to work. I know if you have children that's hard. I'm one of 9 kids, I get that. But at the end of the day, we have to do what we have to do. If you have to work from home, you do it, but you close your windows, meaning close your email and everything, and just focus for that bit of time. This is about survival of the fittest. This is about adapting. And the first day you worked at home is kind of crazy. Things didn't go well. Our first Zoom meeting wasn't so good either, but you get better. So operational excellence is what we're going to look for as we go forward in 2020. And the reason is because we have to figure out the systems that support what we have to do differently. Now, just like the first time you drove a car, you were not so good. But then after a while, right, it just sort of happened. But you had it because you had a system down. You didn't think, I'm going to move my foot, I'm going to change the gear. You just did it. So same thing's going to happen here. We're talking about daily success habits and staying connected. What are you doing so that you stay connected? And if you have to use video, then use video. I have a question for you. How many people like the way they look on video? Raise hands. Anybody? Oh yeah, Judith is not really, okay. Well, not really sometimes. Yeah, it depends on the light. We have fans, we have stuff. But here's the thing, that's how you look. And really it's not so much, and Judy says, do it anyway. Yeah, just do it anyway. And oh God, this whole thing's freaking out. Isn't that just crazy? So we're just gonna do it this way if that's all right with you. We're gonna do it this way and see if we can make that work. So the first thing we're going to do is start making sure that we are exceptional and not standard. That's the only people that are going to survive the survival of the fittest. And there's a lot of things we don't want to do, which is prospecting. But the reason is because we have a belief about how prospecting is, that we're going to cold call and people are bothering people. Rodney always says that, they're going to bother them. Like, not really. All right, so here's the thing. What you want to do is start putting systems together to support the people who have raised their hands. The people that have asked you, they come to your website, they've called you, they called on a sign, they talked to you before, but the process is you keep track of those people because that's what you're committed to do. If they've raised their hand, there are no bad leads, there's just leads that are not ready to buy. And then you put them in classifications. Are they an A lead who has an appointment right now? Are they somebody who's 30 to 90 days out? That's another one. Or are they 120 days out, which means that you don't need to bug them every day. You don't want them to file a restraining order, okay? But here's a tracker where you've grown them. A is something that you got an appointment with. B is 30 to 90 days out. You call them the first and the third week of every month. And the C's you hit once a month. Now that doesn't mean you call them because we don't want to abdicate by automation. There are other things you can do. And one of them, of course, is using some video. So you just start making yourself accountable. Do you want to, are your people happy to text? Did you the top 50 that would give you business every day? Do you reach out on Facebook? Do you send note cards? How many hours did you actually spend prospecting? So every time you write a note, you want to be able, every time you talk to somebody, you want to write a note. How many people are getting notes today? Just a show of hands. I mean, really? Yeah, that's my point. I mean, we need to make sure that we are purposeful with being intentional with connecting with people. And I would say to them, don't ask for referrals. I would say, I just was great talking to you. Glad to know everybody's fun. Remember that I am a resource for carpenters and plumbers and whatever, happy to help you. This is the time we used to call it serve before opportunity. Write this down. We're now calling it serve regardless of opportunity. It's sort of like a bank account. You put it in, you're going to get it out, and it doesn't, and nobody's like looking for that immediate kind of thing. So here's some scripts for our how's the market. Instead of saying, how you doing? How's the family? Are you by your computer? A lot of times, especially if you're doing a virtual open house or a virtual presentation to a buyer, hey, are you by your computer? It's a heck of a close, isn't it? Show them what's going on rather than your opinion, because you've extrapolated the information. Let them take the journey with you, and then that makes it work. Casey says, I always try to write notes, but good suggestions after every call. Proven it works when you're looking into bank accounts, and we end up going into a gentleman who followed up with a handwritten note. People get a handwritten note, they keep them. They really do, because it's so unusual. But instead, we call it content dump versus content transformation. In other words, everybody's got data, but when you give them something that's so specific, and write this word down, hyper local, when it's the 4 miles around where they live, they don't, I mean, yeah, it's important what's happening in the universe, but what's happening locally? So try that one instead. One of the things that we have is a conversation with buyer or seller prospects. And I don't know where that went. Hi, I'm making a COVID follow-up call. I wanted to touch base, see how you're doing, and listen. We're here to help you with anything if you need, if we can. What can we do? Some people are stepping back. Other people are, we've got buyers who still want to buy. By the way, you know, there were 323 houses that sold this month. So people are out there. Just a question of if you're still interested, if you want to wait, listen to them and respect their answers. Katie, this whole thing's freaking out. So I think what we're going to do is just do it one at a time, if that's all right with you. The second thing we're going to do is just virtualize your.
I think you're good, Terry. And if you want to just ditch the slides and just look at them.
You know, if they work, if they don't bother anybody, I don't care. But it's just
Okay.
for some reason, there's some kind of a short. I'd love to say I spilled water or something on my computer, but I didn't.
That wouldn't be good either.
That was last week. So here's the part that we're about to do, kids, and that is we're virtualizing our services. And the consumer now for almost 3 months has gotten used to that, and so we have to jump on that wagon. And I will tell you that there's virtual showings, there's virtual buyer presentations, seller presentations. We've had a client that was brand new who didn't even have a Zoom, and she was able to sell a house. And the reason for that is because she was forced to do it. So none of us like to really be forced to do anything. See where it's freaking out? There you go. How many of you have developed a virtual listing presentation? Can I see a show of hands? Okay. By the way, Kate says just forget the PowerPoint, which is fine. We can do that. I just can't believe that we're having so much fun today. It's not transcending and they can't hear you well. All right, so how about if we just close that off?
Are you?
I'm sorry, kids. Well, the whole thing is just going down. I can't do anything.
You're good. Do you want to
sharing?
Stop the screen? There you go. We just want to see you, Terry.
Yeah, I'm so cute. So what we're looking to do here, though, is to figure out the best ways for us to serve people virtually, which means you're going to have to get a camera. You're going to have to get a little good at using Facebook Live to do presentations for virtual open houses, and your sellers will be very impressed with that. Virtual buyer presentations, are they safe? Mark has actually done a great job of including your lender, everybody that is tangent to the sale of a property, and you're going to be able to get that book, is included in that. More importantly, it gives you the steps if you're not particularly comfortable with virtual. The second thing is that you're going to serve with, like we said, regardless of opportunity. And one of the points you want to make with that is, how can you reach out? Now, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. We're very, very lucky to have automation, right? We've got things that'll update people with what's coming on the market, but every day there's something new that happens in the market. Something gets listed, something goes under contract, something's pending, something is sold or closed. If you're looking to build consumer confidence, then it's really important for you to understand what's happening in your marketplace and report that. Now, again, we talked about doing video. unless you still have a flip phone, you can still use your iPhone to do it, right? I mean, you grab that phone and there you are, and you can manage by using your own phone. But it's not so hard to get a stand and stand in front of your subdivision or an area that you service, especially if the weather's good, and say, there's a market update going on right here in Germantown and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't have to be long. You have ways to push that out. What happens is that people are, they're 3 weeks, they're 8 weeks to 3 years before they convert. They don't just wake up one morning and decide to sell their house or buy one. Things happen in their life to change that. So if you're getting yourself good virtually, one of the things you can do is profile your local people. So Kate, you just told me who's opening today? It's some donuts, you said?
Oh, sorry. No, the we went into phase 2 on Monday for the City of Memphis Back to Business Plan. So nail salons now. Donuts opened over the weekend.
Yeah, so I would like people to post if they're where they're getting the information and what they could share with the people that they work with. And I mean,
oh, and more importantly, Graceland opens today.
It does. Yes, I know, and they have gone through a lot of work to do that. So if you had a database of people and you wanted to post something fun on Facebook, you might say, hey, we're saved, Graceland's opening today. It's a conversation starter that does not have to do with listing or selling a property. I'm going to ask you to be more authentic, personal, and transparent in your conversations with people. Send a note. If you've got people right now, this is the time they want to hear about safety. You can't ask them every day if you call them how they are, because that's going to get old. But one of the more important things that you can do is get personal. And I don't mean in a creepy way, but in a good way. This is a great time to reach out to your top 50 and ask them to update their contact information, because later in the year, when everybody gets to be social again, you may be planning a client event or a charitable event. When you do that, and ask their opinion on a scale of 1 to 10. I've got clients that are looking for a new accountant or a new attorney. How would you rate yours? Oh, if anybody over a 9 or a 10, that's a great opportunity for us to refer people back to each other. We are a resource center that goes beyond 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a 2-story. And when you understand that part, then you look how to serve regardless of opportunity. I think this is another great time for us to think about how do we organize ourselves so that we have a process in place, so that we have some personal management. How many people have a little problem with figuring out their day? Their day runs away with them. Can I see some comments on that? Are you seeing any? Because I think my screen's
yes, someone's saying yes, especially at home.
Yeah, well, home is, I mean, that's a free-for-all right now. I mean, you know, the kids are seeing you home, and you've all been, you know, you live there, so they don't understand that there's a difference. So, but here's the thing you can do. If you set yourself up for tiny habits, one of my favorite books is by James Clear. It's Atomic Habits. And he talks about the tiniest thing that happens in an atom. It's an energy that happens almost in a microsecond. And that's how small a habit can be, so that you don't have any resistance to it. So if you don't want to use, like, say, you don't want to call someone because you have call reluctance, what if you called them and you were a service to them? It would be like me saying, Katie, can I get you a cup of coffee? I mean, there's nothing it's either yes or no, right? You're not feeling uncomfortable about that. But when you call one of your past clients and said, you know what, I drove through the neighborhood last week and I just happened to see your house. I'm wondering how everything's going over there. And by the way, we're updating our contact database. We'd be delighted to invite you to some of the upcoming events we're hoping to have at the end of the year. And by the way, may I ask your opinion? Again, you're not saying, oh, and then they say, if they want to say, how's the market? You can say, you know what, I can show you. Are you by a computer? Virtual open houses, virtual presentations, PDFs, understanding how to use electronic signatures like DocuSign. If you haven't done that, you need to. Figure out your social media calendars going forward. It's not just about chatting, it's about monitoring and measuring conversation. And so when you understand conversation, you're in a much better position, because people want to chat about what's going on. And then if they want to have some real estate information, and you can put something out there that's very interesting, like there's been more XYZ rentals in the 38104 zip code than there was last year at this time. This might be a great time to look at that equity you've got. The conversation has to change from I'm the realtor and I can help you with your real estate needs, to what I know may serve you. How can I serve you?
Terry, Judy wrote something really neat in the chat. She's been going to the stores and taking pictures of what's on the shelves and sending that to clients.
That's a new one. Yeah, well, my screen's frozen, so tell me what they're saying. Why don't you post something you've done that is hyper local, that supports other vendors in the city? I can tell you a couple while you're posting. Number one is that's a good one. I haven't had somebody take pictures, and Judy, that's very good. And then where is she putting them?
She does Facebook Live, from the stores, giving updates on what is in and what's out of stock on hot items. And she got a lot of engagement with her community that way.
That's terrific. Anybody else doing anything?
And we can talk about, we'll brag on Jill from our Leadership MAR class and what she did.
You know what? That would be terrific. Do you want to tell that story, how she did that?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get it right, but it was for Easter. There's a local vendor, I think it might be someone in her neighborhood even, who does these little wooden craft things, and she makes wooden Easter eggs every year. So Jill bought a bunch from her, so supported somebody local in their business, and then gifted those to clients. And so they were able to hide the eggs in their yard, or I think she may have hid them for them for Easter. So the kids went trick-or-treating, Easter egg hunting.
Well, Jill, actually they were wood, and she gave them a little painting thing so they could paint.
Yeah.
And so think about that. You've got kids at home that, suddenly they're your home and they don't know what to do with you. And Jill she provided a service that was a comfort.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant how she did it. She did the same thing for Mother's Day. So my point is that there are ways to support local people and with distance. As an example, one of my clients who has a coffee shop mailed out, complimentary COVID coffee when we're open back in it was May, June. That just tells people you're thinking about them. How about birthday cards? How many people actually send birthday cards that don't say their company, like State Farm or, Stewart Title, that is really a birthday card? Can we see a show of hands for that, Katie?
Yeah, if you guys can either put in chat or raise your hands.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm going to tell you about Brooke Signs. Brooke is a mom. She's a runner. She's got 2 companies. She's an amazing girl. It's really easy not to like her. And we call her Perfect Brooke. And she figured out that when she just sent like a card that had her company on it, she didn't get much response. So she switched to making 3 cards, one for kids, one for females, and one for males. And in the adult cards, and this is appropriate for her, she would go and buy a stack of $1 scratch off lottos. And she would set up her birthday cards at the beginning of the month, write them out, put in a scratch lotto for the adults, and for the little kids, because she already got the information, which she put in her database, she would put a crisp $1 bill. She was getting videos and Facebook posts of little kids going, "Thank you for my dollar," because the parents really appreciated that. Now I have to ask you, would that be a automation? If you send somebody a text, or would that be more personal? The answer is it would be more personal.
Yeah.
And the fact is she has gotten so much business from that. She's doing something with the community. As an example, instead of having the movie event, which they would have typically had in April, she knew she couldn't do that. So she sent everybody a note saying that they were going to postpone it till later in the year. And she just printed on her own little printer, a gift card that said, "We made a donation to the food bank in your name." And if they had pets, she did it for the pets. So my point is it strikes an emotional connection when you do it in such a way that makes people feel connected and that you are a resource and not stuck with commission breath. Then the third point is, how do you give back? How do you stand back and become that person who does the kinds of things that make a community stand out? I'll tell you what Lee Tessier did. Lee's a group out of Maryland. He has a heart for all the emergency EMT workers and the ambulance people and all that. And he found out at the local hospital that he could bring over some lunches. So he got boxed lunches. He has a branded truck, brought 80 lunches to the emergency room workers. Just so happened that the media was there. He got some great media coverage. That's not his heart, by the way, but he was able to feed those people, which made him feel good. In the meantime, he drove to Home Depot to pick up something, and a couple saw him and saw the truck and said, you know what, we want to list our house at $750,000 kind of price pocket. Would that be something you'd be interested in doing? Remember, we started this off with mindset. When you have a mindset of abundance, abundance comes to you. His heart was to help the EMT people. He still wound up getting something good out of it for himself and for the people he's going to help. So I'm going to ask you on your strategy, on your strategic plan for 2020, it's obviously had to change because of what's happened. So in your strategic plan for 2020, on your personal development, your professional development, your family, your spiritual, and your team development, you might want to add on a quarterly basis, how do I give back somehow? And it doesn't cost a whole lot of money to volunteer services or to give a gift card to help out a local vendor. One of my other clients who know that her nail salon was devastated because obviously they couldn't do any business, Katie, which makes everybody unhappy, by the way. She went ahead and got some gift certificates and did kind of a raffle for people who were giving money to or food items and whatever to one of the shelters. And you know, the shop owner is only too happy to give away a free manicure pedicure to people who are helping. People want to help. That's the one thing about Americans. We want to help, and we're good at that. And then at the end of the day, I mean, you're out there being accountable with what you do and how you do it. You're trying to shut your doors and your windows so you can reappropriate solid, focused time to do your work, to answer calls. You want to be impeccable with your word. And that means, from Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements, that you don't make a promise you can't fulfill. And I don't think you need more leads. I think you need to work the leads that you have more efficiently. And you do that through the ABCs. If you don't have an appointment, you hit those B's every first and third week with something, a thing of value, a phone call, a text, a hard copy, a market update during video. Do the kinds of things that would make you feel informed and not stalked. And then after you've gotten focus down and accountability down, where you're actually inspecting what you inspect, we are notorious for throwing a ton of money at silver bullets that we never use. I'll bet everybody here has something under their desk still in polyfoam because they never opened it. Because it's about a process that you're going to have to use. So be unfocused, be accountable, execute your plan. The fourth one, besides taking care of your community, is taking care of yourself. And Katie, the one big issue we have is that, especially women, so I don't want Rodney and anybody to feel badly, but women will tend, because of our high adaptability, to take care of everybody but ourselves. And so I'm saying that there is a word in the English language called nope. No, I can't help you right now. Now, as you know, Katie, we went through the behavioral styles. You recall that? When this side of the equation being high responsive and low responsive. Do you recall that at all?
Yes,
I don't know if you
in our leadership MAR class, for those of you who might not be part of that, but yeah, we talk about the different personality types.
Well, they're not personalities, they're behavioral. And the reason we talk about that is because there are some people who are going to be more reluctant to reach out. Mm-hmm. And there are people who have no problem with, they don't have any organization, well, they have less organizational skills. And so when we talk about taking care of ourselves, women with high adaptability have so much caring for kids and for family that they will bifurcate their own time to take care of themselves. And so when you say no, some people can't say no directly. They have to say, not yet, or can I think about that? Here's another one. Especially when we're in a situation where we're not comfortable with confrontation. I know that there's a good 25 to 50% of the people on this call that don't like confrontation. And there's 3 ways to handle that. If somebody is being competitive or aggressive when you're talking to them, they say, well, you promised you would do this. And, come on, it's COVID. There's lots of stuff going on here that we couldn't control. And you might just say, you know what, are you aware that you're raising your voice? Are you aware that we've had some issues and I'm happy to explain them? So for women, saying no sometimes is difficult, but I'm going to ask you to write this down. Say no equals not yes yet. Give yourself a few minutes to figure out if you can work that in, because women tend to be like, we got to do it bigger, better, wider, brighter. And that's not necessarily true. Got to take care of ourselves first. Exercise. Exercise goes out the window when we're very busy and backed up because we don't think it's essential. But you're living in this, and so you have to take care of it, right? You need some quiet time. With all this craziness and now with almost no personal space at home, you want to be able to have, even if it's 15 minutes somewhere, that you have some quiet time. We are doing a bug me list. That's our last session for our leadership. And the bug me list is, what are you tolerating? And when people tolerate, eventually it wears you down. And so I'll bet everybody could post something right now, Kate, that they wanted to get done and it just keeps showing up on their to-do list and they just can't seem to get to it. So we have a couple of ideas of what people are dealing with. Maybe have them post that for us.
Yeah, sorry, I'm back. My internet dropped for a hot second, but I'm back.
Oh, welcome to my world. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking about this in our leadership mark class too, but it's the bug me list, right, Terry? So something that's been bothering you, like for me, one of my personal things was getting my garage sorted out. I moved into my house a year ago and I still had boxes I had not unpacked from Florida when I moved back to Memphis, and things were just a mess everywhere. So since we've had some extra time on the weekends in quarantine, I've been able to get that finally done, but that was on my bug me list for a year and it was driving me crazy. And every time I'd go out there, it just made me feel rotten and inefficient and ineffective.
Now that's the key word, every time. So did y'all hear that? Katie said, every time I go out there, what happens in her brain is it disengages and she goes, I've got to do that. Now that's part of digiphrenia. And every single time your brain does that, it takes 23 minutes and 15 seconds for your brain to go back to where it was. Mm-hmm. So you're working from home and you think, oh my God, I got to fix that broken lock. 23 minutes, 15 seconds. Oh, I meant to call so-and-so and I didn't do it. This is my 3rd day. I'm called. Boom. So that bug me list will wear you out. And so we've asked our members to go ahead and create a bug me list and then take the top one and get it done, or just delete it. Because if you haven't done it, what you're saying is, that's not as important to me as this, and I'll bet it's not even important. Now,
so a couple other people put things that were also on my bug me list. One is still there, which is taxes. And I just realized earlier this week, oh, I still have to do my taxes. And then Sue-Ann finally painted our downstairs, color samples on my walls since Thanksgiving.
Now, you know what the problem is there, right?
Can't decide on the color?
Well, I mean, she doesn't want to make a mistake.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, no, 3 to get ready. And so it's like, yeah. So you might want to call in somebody who's a decorator to help you with that. I mean, unless you're a guy.
And that's something that you taught us too, Terry, is you don't personally have to do everything. Think about the things in your life where you can call in a reinforcement, phone a friend, not necessarily a friend, but someone you can hire to help you accomplish something that's on your bug me list, just to get it done and get it off your mind.
The the lift that you feel, you don't realize, it's sort of like carrying that heavy purse around or a briefcase. You don't realize how heavy it is until you put it down. And those little things will add up, and there'll be a lot of them. I mean, it'll be something like you said, like taxes, that's just going to bug you. Or, you know, you've got to get this report done and you procrastinate. And the reason you do that is because there's a why in there. There's a why you're not doing it. And you might say, well, it's money. Well, it's really not, because if you needed something, you would get it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to the fact that you've got to sleep and eat and have some quiet time and have some recreation. I mean, pedal to the metal for those of us that are on this side of the equation. We want to get her done. I'm just saying things happen.
Yeah.
And you need to empower someone else with the few dollars that it would cost and give them that benefit to do something that you don't want to do and they do well. As an example, I've got clients who absolutely positively hate tracking numbers. They hate it. And yet they'd rather work in a blindfold and not know if they were making any money or if their expenses were too high when somebody else loves to do that stuff. If you're not, I mean, clearly not everybody can hire a virtual assistant, but there's somebody that can do projects for you. And this is where you can reach out to your top 50 or your sphere of influence and say, can I ask your opinion? I need a handyman to fix this lock. Oh, you know, my uncle is out of work. He'd be happy to do it for $25. Well, it's driving you, you know, it's probably costing you thousands of dollars because every time your brain leaves, right? 3 or 4 times, that's an hour. If you're paying yourself at least $100 an hour, you made $75. Yeah. So make that bug me list and see if you can't delegate even projects to someone who is not like you. Because typically we like to hire people just like us, and that doesn't work. Anybody else have an idea up there for a bug me list?
Someone wrote QuickBooks and CRM, Lion Desk. And someone else said, Judy suggested interns, board kids, great COVID resources, especially for tech.
Oh, yes. Now, just don't assume that just because they're young and they roll their eyes that they got this stuff, because they may understand how to use technology. They may not know how to do this. But here's a thing you might want to think about. Right now, there are a lot of people who are out of work or their work has changed, and they'd be happy to do something. Yeah. And so this is where you reach out to your sphere of influence and ask them. But at the end of the day, you got to keep your focus, and the focus is not easy. It's going to be hard for you to set up 15, 20 minutes of focus a day. It'll drive you nuts. The second thing is you got to go for accountability. You have to inspect what you expect. Look at your numbers. Look at what each lead is costing you if you're paying for them. How many are you converting? If you're not converting, why aren't you converting? Third is get yourself virtually great. Be a virtual victor. If you don't know how to do it, get somebody to help you. There's tons of YouTube. This little book that we're going to share with you, Workman Success /MAAR, which you can put in the chat box, or we can just send everybody after with the PowerPoint.
It's virtual success / MAR.
Yeah, Workman Success / MAR. Yeah. And here's the thing, it gives you lots of scripts because you need to say things different. It tells you what to do. And you should never do even a regular open house the same way, unless you do all the preparation, because that's your time and your energy. And speaking as we close this up with your time and your energy, take care of yourself. This is a short ride. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and don't be afraid of it. Just bring it on. Succeed anyway. Is that all you got? Bring it on. We'll figure out some way to get around this. In our leadership group, we talked about roadblocks or rabbit holes. Roadblocks are okay. They're inconvenient, but they make you go down a different path, and you will discover something you never saw before. And if it's a rabbit hole, be comfortable in there. You're going to be in there for a while. But the people that will exceed are the people that can adapt, and the people that adapt will just say, okay, I got to do it. Let's do it. And it'll become fun because you don't have that belief system that says, I can't do this. Take care of you, because you're the most important person that you have to take care of first, and then you can take care of other people. And Katie, I think we're out of time, so let me know if that works for you.
I love that. And that is such a perfect way to wrap it up. Thank you for that. And the last thing you said about helping yourself before you can help anyone else. So a lot of you know I used to be a flight attendant for Southwest Airlines like 20 years ago.
I did not know that.
Yes, I was. And, part of the safety briefing is put the oxygen on yourself before you help anyone else. And the reason for that is if you're hypoxic, you can't help your kid or your husband with their oxygen masks. So you've got to put it on yourself first. And so that is really true. That's the analogy I always use to give a real visual to people. But put the oxygen mask on yourself first, because you're no good to anyone else if you're suffering and you're not with it. So thank you for
Actually,
the message.
yeah, did you
Thank
know
you for
that,
all of
that
this.
actually in the Bible, it talks about taking care of yourself first?
Mhm.
It does. So, hey,
Yeah.
Katie, here's something I'm thinking. Because the PowerPoint was screwed up, I'm going to go ahead and record the voiceover on the PowerPoint. So everybody that was on the call can have it, and to whomever else you want to
I
send
love
it
that.
to. So that it will be the full program with all the graphics and that kind of thing. Okay.
That's so nice. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. I know it's going to take extra time, and I appreciate your generosity for doing that for us, Terri.
Anything for you guys.
Thank you. Well, we love you to pieces. Thank you. And to all our friends in New York and all over the state, and Steve McDonald and Nashville from Tennessee Realtors. Thank you guys for being here. It was awesome to have you with us. And thank you, Terri. We just love you to pieces. Thanks for being part of our family.
All right. Take
Okay,
care.
everybody have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.